opportunity for Charlotte off the set piece. It is going to be the man out of Poland. The shot, yes! And it's gone in. It's an Olympico. Yoshiki pulls it back. The shot, and another goal. And look who's coming on. Ryan Romero. Here's Romero. Hit the shot, kid. Goal! For the city, for the crown.
And welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Offsides Podcast, the unofficial, official podcast of Charlotte Football Club. I am your host, Andres Robledo, and as always, I am joined by my co-host, Abelino Robledo. Pablo, how was the weekend for you? I mean, I know how Saturday was. We spent it together, but how was that wonderful Sunday?
Saturday was shocking.
Yeah. Almost blew your eyes out, what, 4 or 5 times?
Yeah. You know, that's what happens when you change out light switches and outlets with the power still on. And you don't know what you're doing. Couple shocks, couple explosions. But everything's working, right? House is still standing?
Yeah, no smoke alarms have been tripped. We're still here, so I think it all worked out.
Good. Sunday was not too bad. Spent it planting some trees.
Nice.
Yeah.
Getting your little carbon offset in.
Yeah, spent it pretty much just digesting what happened on Saturday.
Yeah. It was a sober day.
Yeah, it was a roller coaster of emotions the whole weekend.
Yeah, it really was. That was the highest of highs and lowest of lows during that game, it felt like.
Mm-hmm.
Which we'll get to. Speaking of which, let's just go ahead and jump straight into it. Charlotte this past weekend traveled to St. Louis for their opening match, and unfortunately lost 3-1. We'll get into it in more detail, but honestly, we kind of beat ourselves more than anything with some costly errors and a little bit of bad luck, but that happens. Still a long season to go. But what I did want to touch on was just, St. Louis, new to the MLS. We've talked about their stadium already a little bit, but to see the atmosphere there live on TV, to hear it through the speakers and, see it filled out with people, like, it's 22,000 or something like, or 25,000, something like that, under 30,000 people. But the way that stadium is set up was, man, it seems like a pretty cool place to be at. I think they're going to have a great atmosphere there. It seems intimate and like kind of like a theater type setting almost, with the way all the seats are and how it's designed. And I mean, if you're in the front row, you're like eye level with all the other players. Like seems like much more of a traditional soccer stadium that you would see over in Europe or South America than what we're used to. So, what did you think of their, stadium, their fans, and how the atmosphere and energy was for their opening match?
I think it was pretty much like how ours was last year. It just seemed like a big party for them. But they got to celebrate, they probably had like an after party to go to.
Yeah.
But I really like their stadium. Like you said, it's more traditional soccer stadium where, like, the best seats in the house are probably the close ones where you can, like, in fact, I saw a couple of fans whenever the Charlotte guys got close to them, they were like booing them, or you could like just mouth it out, like it was saying "you suck" or something like that, or cheering their guys on whenever they were close. So, it's something that I'd like to see in the future for Charlotte. We'll just see how it works out.
Yeah, that would be awesome to get a stadium like that of like 30,000, 35,000 people.
Yeah, it doesn't look like there's a bad seat in that house.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool. One thing we talked about is, man, it's kind of unfair that for our home opener we had to play LA Galaxy, and for St. Louis's home opener they play a team in their second season. So that seems a bit odd.
Yeah, but I think it was just more of like a seat filler for our home opener, because it was a lot. 74,000, 75.
Yeah, almost 75, like 74 and a half. Yeah,
more than triple than what St. Louis has on their opening, and we're still.
Yep.
I think last season we were averaging in the low to mid 30s. Which,
Yeah, I think like 33,000, something like that.
Yeah, which I'm good with. I like it.
Yeah.
St. Louis will never hit those numbers.
Yeah, literally, they cannot.
No, yeah, they no, but I'm hoping we get like a stadium in that same fashion. But we can just
Yeah.
the capacity's more. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to limit
Yeah.
it to
No,
like
I agree.
22,000 because then ticket prices are going to be just through the roof.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. No, totally agree. So staying on the topic of St. Louis, we got to see their debut. We watched a little bit of their match against Austin, and from that match, kind of looked like they were a team that likes to press high, likes to pressure, kind of similar to like the Red Bulls in Philadelphia. What did you think of St. Louis's play style against us? Did it remind you of those teams, or was it slightly different? I mean, what did you just think of the overall performance of their team?
They did press a lot more, and they seemed to be just a lot more high energy than us. But those players can only do that for so long, and we saw it kind of like calm down a little bit around the 30th minute or so, or especially after we scored that first goal. It seemed like they weren't doing it as much, but they were still just a high pressure team. I think Philly probably does a better job at it because St. Louis also just seemed like way more chaotic out there.
Yeah, they did. They seemed to thrive in the chaos, but
yeah,
I agree. I felt like whenever we got the goal over them, we kind of took over and their momentum really died down.
Yeah.
But then, we gave them their second wind, and after that, it felt like they didn't really let off the gas pedal.
Right, yeah. Like when we got that first goal, I think probably just like my thought was, okay, their first win was a fluke. This is how their season's going to go. And, this should be an easy win for us. But then we started kind of falling apart, and St. Louis was like, we can build on this. And honestly, I mean, the score sheet should have read, Charlotte 4 and St. Louis 0.
Yeah.
Because we gave them all those goals.
Yeah, totally agree. It totally threw me off of the thought that I had, but yeah, my big takeaway was they definitely like create a lot of chaos, especially on the back line, and they seem to definitely thrive in it. What do you think of their DP striker, Klaus?
For the most part, he seemed slow, in comparison to like his other counterparts.
Yeah.
He didn't seem like a real threat for just like getting open in the spaces or like creating runs. I'm not sure if that's something that Charlotte kind of prepped for or had a game plan against. Because when we watched him in St. Louis, he looked more threatening. But he didn't seem as big of a threat in this game. But you could tell that he was being just marked the whole time. So I'm sure Charlotte had a big plan for him. But, he made what? He got one score off Malanda, and then he was kind of present there for the own goal. So,
yeah.
He's like Capetti, where like, he can draw defenders and you have to build your defensive plan around him. So he can be a distraction. Yeah. And that's what I felt like more out there.
No, I agree. I think it's a good assessment of him. I didn't think it was anything like too spectacular from him, but he definitely knew how to be a nuisance to the back line and, like we said, cause those mistakes and capitalize off them. I mean, as you said, for the third goal, Malanda pretty much just gave it to him on a platter by trying to pass it back to Zuniga, and he just intercepts it, turns around and scores, and that's the second one of that style of that kind of goal. He did the same thing against Austin, and it's like, well, he knows how to read the game for sure.
Yeah, as a poacher.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of your playing style, but just a lot more effective.
Yeah, I score goals.
Yeah, true. So let's jump into Charlotte's performance here. The first 10-15 minutes, I kind of thought they were getting again, high pressure from St. Louis was kind of causing them a lot of issues at the back, but dealing with it somewhat well, and it kind of felt like St. Louis was never in control, but also made it like chaotic, like you said, for us as well, to where we could never really get things going. Until after we, had the build up to that first goal. And then after that, it felt like we were just going to slowly, as the clock ticked, just take more and more control of the game. And it felt like that for a while up until the own goal. And so speaking of that own goal, the week before we talked about how the back line looked so solid and the back four, had looked really, really well. And just wanted to get your opinion on the change that Latanzio ended up making to that back line of throwing in Brant Bronico at the left back position over Mora. What do you think of that change?
At first I was a bit hesitant. I never know like how Bronico's gonna play. He just seems to me like he's not the greatest to be put in that position. But I mean, as the game developed, he just seemed like just a straight up 1-for-1 switch there, and he did really good in that left wing back position. So I was happy. I'm good with that change. I think Bronico can play that position fine, and I think Mora can play it just as fine as well. I think the defensive errors that happened could have happened to any defense. They do in fact happen to a lot of defenses. Usually it's like, maybe they'll have a own goal or the hand in the box, but it's like we caught just all three of them in a row.
Yeah. So I think a lot of people were surprised by the inclusion of Bronico at left back, but I agree with you. I thought he played very well. I don't know if like the SOFA scores or the ratings agree or whatnot. I think I saw that he'd got kind of a low rating, but I think the whole back line did. But I think just from an individual performance, I thought he did well. Like you said, like good replacement for Mora. I feel comfortable throwing either guy out there. He did well getting forward. I didn't think he ever really got like beat or looked at a position or anything like that. So I thought he adjusted very well.
If you look at the highlights of when Capetti scores that header, you can see Bronico's like right behind him to like pick up any loose balls or anything like that, which is something you want to see from your center defensive mid or even that left wing back position. And looking at the SOFA score ratings, it's crazy that Brent Bronico is getting a 5.4 for his
it seems a bit harsh.
Yeah, very harsh, and considering the fact that Tuiloma scored on his own goal and Malanda gave away a bad pass, and they're getting 6.3s and 6.6s.
Yeah, so and if you think about it, like the other two goals, the other two goals came from the opposite side of Bronico. Like it came from Malanda and Serdersky when he dropped back.
Right.
So they came from that right side.
You got Byrne with a yellow over there. It just doesn't. I don't know. It's a weird rating. I thought Bronico did really good on that side. Played real clean.
Yeah, that was the one thing I was worried about was getting some silly fouls away. But I thought he played much more disciplined than the week before, to be honest.
Right. Yeah. So I'm good. I'm starting to hop back on Team Bronico.
Yeah. I think he's come out of the gate swinging and has impressed me totally different than last year, where I was just not impressed by him at all. I think he has really changed his game and developed it, and I thought he was going to be kind of a guy that got the most out of his talent and took like the most or like advantage of the situation he was in on a new team, and was like, well, he's playing very well and no really replacements or anyone under him, and now the team's kind of beefed up and he still looks like one of the best players on the team and has improved, like from what I've seen, like technical wise, passing wise. Like he is starting to become more of that player we wanted last year, of like kind of playing that quarterback role. Like he's not really playing it yet, but I can see glimpses of it. Like in the first game, I saw some cheeky little passes he tried, some nice little dribbles, and same in this game. Like his crossing from that left back position was pretty good. Like being able to dribble it forward. So he's definitely continuing to improve, which is always good to see, especially with someone of his age, of like that 27, 28. They're, he's kind of in his prime right now. So hopefully he'll continue to make steps forward.
Yeah. His distribution of the ball is very good, and the way he takes up space just to get open or make the runs seems to improve from like last year, where like, if he passed it, it was going backwards or to the side, not really moving the ball forward like we wanted. And he seemed more of like an anchor, just kind of slowing the attack down. But now he's like helping it develop more. So yeah, I like that about him. I like the improvement, the consistency. I mean, it's only week 2, but still, it's been consistent.
Just needs to fix that haircut. That's all.
God, yes. Had Joe Dirt out
there. Yeah. Life's a garden. Just gotta dig it. Speaking of lineup changes, Latanzio did make a couple other changes before this game compared to the opening weekend. We saw Derek Jones get in the starting lineup as that center defensive mid, which was nice to see.
Yep.
And then we saw Westwood and Swiderski still playing like the 2 number 8s. Or no, I'm sorry, mistaken. We saw Shinishinsky become involved in the starting lineup, taking over Swiderski's role as that kind of number 10. And then we saw Swiderski take over Gaines's role in the right wing. I think the big surprise for everyone besides the Bronico at left back was to still see Yazwiak at the left wing, especially getting taken out so early the week before. But honestly, I thought he had a way better performance. Was a big part in setting up that first goal. If he doesn't, take the space and dribble forward on that breakaway and set up Swiderski for the cross, like that goal doesn't ever happen.
Right.
And I thought he did a lot better at like just advancing the ball forward on the left wing position. Still would like to see some more production out of him, but I thought it was better than the week before.
Yeah, I need to see like some more direct assists and just goals out of him. But I thought he had a good game as well. I think overall,
much improved to the game against New England.
Yeah. Who's more involved? But I think overall this game was just a lot more physical than the players probably thought it was going to be. And there's also that third factor of the referee and the atrocious calls that were being made, and that just kind of frustrated our players, it seemed like.
Yeah, that's something we should definitely talk about, that I had totally just blacked out of my memory, was how bad this referee was. Just inconsistent calling, giving certain calls to St. Louis that he was calling on us. Like, just, I thought it was really, really bad officiating. Unfortunately, it seems to be like the norm these days for MLS, but I thought he was like just terrible. Yeah,
you could tell like Shinishinsky was out there just getting frustrated, and he didn't have a good game in my eyes. Capetti, I mean, he scored a goal, but you could tell in the set pieces and the corners, we wasted so much time just like sorting through that whole thing, and like you could see. I mean, it goes both ways. Like, Capetti was antagonizing some, but so was the defense. And just the fact that, like, I think Capetti got a yellow out of it, maybe. I don't know.
I think later on, I think so.
But it was like the referee was just antagonizing it. It didn't help at all. So
yeah, no, I agree. So you spoke on Shinishinsky. I agree with you. I thought, I was interested to see him in the starting lineup. I thought he deserved it. But this was not his best performance at all. I thought he was pretty ineffective at times, and kind of just disappeared for moments of time as well.
Well, he got fouled hard a couple times too, and it was just like, how much longer can a guy take that? And the ref's not even like a card or anything for the other guys.
Yeah, that's true. But he's got to play through that as well at the same time. Like, you know you're not going to get the call, but, you can't just kind of do nothing after that. I don't know. He just wasn't too effective in my eyes. And speaking of which as well, like, we talked about this a little bit last week, and we can talk about it a little bit later on in this episode, but Swiderski at the right wing also, I didn't think he was effective at all either. I mean, yes, he gets the assist on the goal, but I mean, really a lot of that was just Yazwiak setting him up, and then like besides that one cross that led to the goal, like I didn't really see anything too good from Swiderski, and he gets the handball that leads to the penalty in the first half that really just deflated the team.
Which honestly, like the way they call some of these handballs is ridiculous. It's like his hands is not out there on purpose. It's just like, it's just where he's at. It's like close to his body. Like how much more can he tuck it in?
Yeah. Yeah, that's true, I guess, but I don't know.
That's just how it went.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just wasn't too impressed with him on the ball either, and I don't know.
Yeah.
Just not the start that I was hoping for with him.
Yeah, and I hate to be so negative on these guys, but like I said, it was a roller coaster of emotions this weekend. It was Saturday was super disappointed, and then Sunday I kind of was just like digesting it more. I'm like, okay, it's only week 2. Like, they need to, Swiderski is not. How many times did we see him playing that right wing last season? Not too many.
Yeah, maybe once or twice.
And I get that he's probably practiced for it, but even last week he didn't start in that position. So players got to get used to that new role, and it's only week 2. Like, there's so many people just, fire the coach, get this guy.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Calm down. Like, this is not NFL Panthers where, like, week 4 you're firing a guy. Like, just calm down a little bit.
Yeah, everyone needs to take a deep breath.
Remember last season, week 2, where it was our home opener and we lost, but people were just like behind the team no matter what. Like, just think back on some of that. Like, people are expecting the cup out of this team.
Yeah,
and I get it when you like compare it to St. Louis where they're starting out hot, but like, their streak's gonna end, and ours is gonna start soon. So just like, hang in there for a little bit. It's only week 2.
No, I totally agree with that sentiment. My only concern with Swiderski, though, is just, again, like we brought it up last week, of like, if this continues and, he's just getting outplayed by other guys, like, where does he fit in? What do we do with him?
Right.
Because it's complicated, right? Because he's got the DP tag. He costs a lot of money. But if you got guys like Santos and Vargas outperforming him, which, we can talk to in a little bit as well, it's like, what do you do, right? You keep playing him because he is a DP and hope he gets hot again, or you kind of bench him and it's like, man, what are we, wasting our money on if this guy's not playing and doesn't fit into the system? So again, just something to keep an eye on throughout the season, especially these next couple of games.
Yeah.
But so far it's been not the ideal start that we were hoping for with him and Copetti and him in the system.
Well, I don't think Lattanzio is that type of coach anyways. I mean, you saw him last season when he took over. Like, a lot of the guys that were getting starting roles were based on performances. Gaines hardly ever saw a game when Mara was in there. And then the few minutes that he got, he made the most out of it. And then, like, towards the end of the season, Gaines is starting.
Yeah, true.
So I don't think that's the case with Lattanzio. I think Lattanzio also understands that, like, it's early in the season. He's got some tinkering to do with lineups and positions and new players, things like that. So we're probably going to see some more. I would expect a little more chaos out of the lineups next week and the week after that. I wouldn't say until maybe like week 5 or 6 is when we'll see maybe some real changes.
Yeah. Yeah, I expect that we'll probably see a couple of, like, 1 or 2 more changes this coming up weekend, but I don't think anything too drastic. I think we'll probably still see Swiderski and Copetti out in that starting lineup.
Yeah.
Yeah. But back to the game. So we kind of talked about the back line's performance a little bit. Taluma's own goal there. Just, yeah, I'm not really sure what he was going for there because he seemed a little too far up in the box to like head it over his own goal.
Right.
And I mean, obviously that's what he tried, but it just kind of felt weird that he tried that. I mean, I know he's pressured by Klaus, but
yeah, I think it just kind of took a bad bounce.
Yeah,
I think it's probably like at the end of the day, it's probably just gotta narrow it down to the simplest answer, and he just took a bad bounce. I'm not sure where he was trying to go. If he's trying to go left, right, or just up, because like earlier you saw him do something similar where it was either, I think it was a shot that got sent in and he cleared it out with a header. So it was just unfortunate, but you just gotta forget about it.
Yeah. And then same with Melanda. I think, besides obviously the pass that led to the goal, I thought he had a pretty solid performance. I did not like hearing the commentators talk about how there's a couple of Serie A teams already eyeing him and thinking about bringing him over to Europe. I'm sure it'll eventually happen, but man, it would suck if he didn't even spend like one whole season with us. But he is a very good talent. I do think he will is poised for a bright future.
Yeah,
I mean, only 21,
exactly.
Getting some attention from the French national team, some Serie A teams, like they said. So that's something definitely to keep an eye on and could cause some headaches for us in the summer transfer window. And then the last guy I wanted to talk about was just Derek Jones' performance. To me, it felt like it picked up right where he left off. Solid, won the ball, very cleanly. He was able to keep the ball very easily or draw fouls, and good distribution. Seemed to always just like find a player, or never really had any bad turnovers or anything like that. What do you think of Derek Jones in this starting lineup?
Oh, I like Jones in the starting lineup. I think he's a solid player to help out the defensive line, and then he can kind of get the attack going. Good distributor of the ball, tall, strong. So, no, yeah, I like Jones. I like that he's getting some starting minutes. No complaints there. We need more Jones.
Yeah, Derek Mike Jones. All right, and then in the second half we saw some early substitutes. We saw Santos come in for Shinashinsky in the 60-ish minute, and I think at the same time we saw Vargas come in, for Serdersky, which I'm
not disappointed.
That's also that's something I wasn't disappointed with the change. Like I said, I didn't think he was having a very good game.
No.
I thought Yazwiak was having a much improved game, so it wouldn't have made sense to take him off. But again, like we spoke to, like, where does if this continues, where does Serdersky fit in? Obviously it's something Latanzio is not afraid to tinker with, at least in the middle of a match. But again, I thought Vargas and Santos had immediate impacts, did some like good momentum change for us. I think 10 minutes after coming on, they have a nice build-up play where Westwood finds Vargas out in that right wing, and he crosses it in and almost finds Santos for a header for what could have been a second goal. So it's like, man, they're just having an immediate impact over and over again. Santos set up Westwood for a great pass. That I think he just took one too many touches in the box and couldn't get a shot off. But like, if you go back and I don't think it's in the highlight reel, but if you are able to rewatch the game and just see the vision that Santos had for that pass, it's like, man, how is he not starting over Shinashinsky and Serdersky at that number 10 and let him be the playmaker? Because he seems like he has a natural tendency for it.
I
and
think
also,
go ahead, keep talking, boy.
And I was saying again with Vargas, like every time he's come off the bench, like he's had an immediate impact of like setting someone up or going for goal himself, like hitting post or something. Like, man, he's just a couple of inches off from already having like 2 or 3 goals this season. So it's like, how is he not getting to the starting lineup? That's I think definitely something that'll be interesting to see this upcoming weekend, because those are two guys that I think need to be starting, but it's like, where do you fit them in?
Well, yeah, and I think it just goes back to what I said earlier. It's just going to go down to overall performance. I think Latanzio right now is just he's got he's got two good players, 50-50 shot. One of them has a better game than the other.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see Santos starting next week on that right side and Swiderski back in the middle behind Capetti, and then Jozwiak on the left, and then eventually Jozwiak comes off for Vargas, or Vargas comes in for Santos, or something in that sense. Because I still feel like Shinashinsky didn't have a super great game to cement himself as a starter for next week, especially up against Atlanta, or, the 85 rivals. So I think Latanzio is just like weighing his options. He's probably got has a lot more pros and cons for both those players, and it's like, you can't really go wrong. But it's just gonna go down to performance, just overall performance, and it's hard to judge off just 2 games.
Yeah, and two, like, he can only do so much himself, right? Like, if he throws the guys out there and they don't perform well, like, how's he supposed to know that was going to happen, right? Like, if he starts Santos at the number 10 against Atlanta and he has like a dud of a game, it's like, all right, well, he gave us what we've been clamoring for, but it didn't work out.
I mean, you said it, like, he put Santos and Vargas in, and they had an immediate impact, and it was an early sub, which I like too. That's how you can tell that he's still like messing with the lineup a bit.
Yeah,
but it's like, okay, the cross that Vargas had to Santos, great cross, great header, but did he score? No. Same goes for the cross that to Santos, or to Westwood, was it? I think you mentioned.
Yeah.
Good vision, good pass, but did they score? No. Now Swiderski, did he have a great game? No, but he crossed it. Capetti scored. So at the end of the day, it's like, who's scoring, who's not. And I hate to
that's true.
Analyze it to such simple terms, but at the end of the game, it's it
is who scored more goals.
Yeah. Right, exactly. Who has actual assists and goals, and but it's very early on.
Yeah. So speaking of that, we mentioned it earlier, like, there's a couple of fans, especially I think it's more on the Facebook side of the fandom than anywhere else, that you've just got all these armchair coaches that are saying, fire Latanzio, scrap the team, like, we need to bring in new players.
Of course.
Like, half this team isn't already new. We talked about it last week. Like, most of the guys that are playing still haven't even been with the team for a full year, and now you've got a new striker, a new center back, all this stuff. But what are your thoughts on, like, how some of that stuff is going? How much time would you give Latanzio? Like, how bad does it have to get before you're worried, or are you giving him like this whole season no matter what?
I'm giving him this whole season and next season. Like, you got to give a coach time to develop the plan, develop the players, and things like that. Like, it's not just an overnight thing. It's never been like that. I'm not. I don't.
Now,
I don't know what, like, fans are thinking. They just,
are you giving them the whole season and next season if they're like a 500 team? Like, if they go without winning a game, are you still giving him a whole extra season, or are you then gonna have to find a replacement? I don't think we will end up that way. I think, worst case scenario, we are a 500 team. Even then, I don't think that's where we'll end up. I think we'll end up above that. But
yeah,
just playing devil's advocate a little bit.
Yeah, well, that's just one of the things that, like, everybody has. This second season for us has been hyped so much with all the new transfers, the new coaching staff, and I
think everyone saw the potential.
Right, yeah. And we want, like, we see the greatness in Charlotte. We already think they're like the champions. But it's 2 losses already. So I'm thinking it's like, maybe we're just a mediocre team. Hopefully not, but somebody's got to hold that number 8 spot.
Yeah,
So
that's true. And they still get into playoffs this year, so
yeah, exactly. So maybe we'll just be mediocre and still make it into the playoffs. Like, so the great ones have to play against somebody. Hopefully we're the great ones, but right now it's not looking so hot. But I think you still got to give that coach some time. He's only been with the team, 6 months plus the off season.
Yeah. And I think the other thing too is like a lot of people are saying, well, it's not just 2 games. It's, he had half a season last season or whatever. And it's like, dude, it's like, one, we played a brand new team like that he has no experience against. We held New England, who 2 or 3 seasons ago were broke the record for a number of like points in a season.
Right.
So it's not like he's had like a lot of familiarity with these 2 teams, and it's a new season. Like New England's different. Like they've changed things up than the last time we played them. Like St. Louis is a brand new team. So like, yes, he's managed Charlotte for more than 2 games, but like in this season with these players, it's been 2 games. Like you got to give it more time. Exactly. Like it's a new season for a reason. Things start over. We're not picking up where we left off exactly, right?
Yeah. And like, it's just, we were just so unlucky this game. Is all the defensive errors that a defense could make happen maybe once in a game, and we had all 3 in one game.
Yeah.
Like, without the handball, without the own goal, without the bad pass, we win.
And
I think
it's like
that's what
even just the own goal.
Yeah, even like that own goal, just you could tell right after that we were just completely demoralized. Because when we scored, we saw excellent control of the ball, guys getting into good space. We had the ball.
We were controlling the game.
Yeah, and like, okay, this is the Charlotte that we've been expecting. And then that own goal happened, and it just went right back to scrambling into chaos.
Yeah, we played right back into their hands. But I was gonna say too is like, even like if it's just that own goal, like if we would have got the halftime 1-1, like I think it's a totally different game. But like you compound that with a penalty to end up the half and go down 2-1. Like
the players are just pissed off because of just the bad calls. So it almost felt like it was leaning like they were calling it for St. Louis.
Yeah,
like it just totally felt that way.
Man, I had something else I was going to add to it. And then one other thing I wanted to add too, like the people calling for like Latanzia's job is like, you got to be careful of like the precedent your club sets by doing that.
Yeah.
Especially in the MLS where, we're not a top league in the world. So like if you're an up and coming coach who, that to me, that seems to be like the type of coaches that get into the MLS, are guys who are just kind of getting their first shots or working their way up the coaching system, similar to like how some of the players in the MLS are, getting their first shots on pro teams and will probably move on to like some of the bigger leagues in the world. If you're a team that like fires managers 3-4 months in at like this level, I think you're going to have a hard time finding like good quality managers who are going to take that career risk of like, oh, I'm a young up and coming manager. I could take this Charlotte job, but what if I get fired and kind of, set my career backwards when the upside is kind of more limited because it is like MLS. There are less eyes on it from a global standpoint. Maybe less tools to use from like a player pool perspective. Like you just have all these other factors too. So I think if you're, constantly calling for your club to like fire managers and bring in new managers, like I think one, you end up with a bad reputation and you have a hard time bringing in new managers. And then 2, like every new manager is going to have a new idea or like something they want to, imprint on the team to kind of make it their own.
Yeah.
And players are going to constantly just be having to learn new systems, new tactics, like new playing styles. And you're never going to get like a gelled system that is firing on all cylinders, right? You might have some honeymoon phases that look good. But then eventually those die out. And like as a Chelsea fan, I can speak from experience. Like the last, 18 years, they go through coaches like every like 18 months, and it's infuriating to watch because like they go on, 5, 6, 7, 8 game run of like bad performances, and it's like, all right, manager's fired, you bring in someone new, a new project starts, and you hope they hit the ground running, but sometimes they don't, and you got to, chalk up the rest of that season, and then hope the next season they, come out firing, and then if they don't, you just chalk it up again and get a new coach, and it's like, dude, that's not fun to watch at all. Like, I'd much prefer seeing a team that gives a manager time. Like, look at the Premier League now with Arsenal and Mikel Arteta. Is when he took over the Arsenal head coaching job, like he did not do well right away, but they gave him like 2-3 years, and now they're top of the league, like favorites to win the league, and not with a lot of like big names either. Like it's all guys that he has like brought up from the academy, or some big names, some big transfer signings, but mostly like it's all been through getting his players to like believe in his system and like follow his tactics and whatnot, and it's been because they've had the time like to do that. He's been able to do it for the last couple of years. Same with like Pep Guardiola at Barcelona all those years ago. Like he got the time to do it. I mean, it's a little different. He had Messi, but you got to give these guys time. Is what I'm saying. So
yeah, that guy had a stacked team.
Yeah, that makes it a little easier when you get all the best players in the world.
You literally just had to like make sure Messi's in and whoever else.
Yeah, I'm sure like in that dressing room, if any of the players were feeling nerves, he would just like have everyone hold a mirror and be like, "Look who you guys are." Look at who we're playing. Like it's
like look
this
to
game's
your
already
left,
won.
Look to your right. No, look at Messi. We have Messi. Don't worry about it.
We're gonna win. Yeah.
No, I think you're right, and I think overall, just players probably just like anybody else is looking for consistency. All the changes that are made, it's not good for the team morale. And like you said, for future coaches or even player sign-ins, things like that. Like who wants to play for a team that's constantly changing coaches and formations and strikers?
Yeah.
When you don't let it truly develop.
And
an example
and that's an.
Go ahead.
That's another good point you bring in too. Is like, it's not only is it going to be hard to bring in new coaches if you keep doing that, it's going to be hard to bring in players who you can sell like like a system. We're going to play in this system. Like this is where we think you fit in. Like if you're that player realistic, you're like, yeah, I'll fit in like with this coach. Like hopefully you guys keep him around.
Exactly.
And the way some teams like Chelsea get around that is like, if a player is hesitant, they just throw like buckets of money at him, so it doesn't matter. But like here in the MLS, you can't really do that. So I could definitely like I could see that being like an issue from a recruiting standpoint of like trying to bring in a certain DP player or a player on the cheaper end and being like, we think you're gonna fit in this way. That you guys are going to get along with this coach. And he's like, yeah, but maybe that's only like a 6-month thing or 4-month thing. Like it's just too risky to take a chance on Charlotte if we're so like fluid with our coaches and whatnot, like constantly changing.
Yeah. I mean, even like an example that comes to mind as far as just sticking with the game plan no matter what is last week when we played New England, Bruce Arena. I mean, that guy's been with New England for a while now. Mm-hmm. So I think since like 2019, if I'm looking up the correct stats. But if you look at what New England did last year was, I think they ended up in the 10th spot of the tables, where we even had a better season than they did. But it's they didn't go straight to the chopping block with him. Upper management's got to believe in the coach and the decisions that they made. I think also a lot of it is just, fans were just outraged at the game overall, not only the result, but like for me, it was mostly the reffing.
Yeah.
And the defensive mistakes that happened. And I had very high hopes for this game because I felt like, it's a new team. Last week for them was a fluke. We should definitely win. and how it started out, it was all just lining up to be that type of game where we went there. Yeah. I mean, how loud were those fans at St. Louis up until we scored that goal? Like, as soon as we scored that goal, we shut them down. And all you heard was the corner of Charlotte fans that were there that drove 10-plus hours.
Yeah.
But I think it was just, people probably getting on the internet right after that loss and were just raging, trolling.
And if you, like, rewatch the match, too, like, I don't think Lattanzio, like, got anything wrong here. Like, I thought the starting lineup was pretty strong. Like, the chances that he took, I think, worked out, besides, like, the Shinshinsky one. But that one made sense to, like, try after the New England game. But, like, Bronico at left back, we talked about, like, he looked good. Like, that was a risky decision, but, like, I thought that played out really well. Like, now we have another guy who can play that position decently well. Putting Derek Jones back in the starting lineup, like, just kind of re-cements that of, like, that talent that he is, like, what he can bring to the team. Or the other changes that we made there.
The Polish
I think those were just those two. Do what?
I said the Polish pistols on either side. I thought that was not bad.
Yeah, not a terrible game from either of them. Again, probably need a little bit more firepower from them, but, like, it looked like maybe we were going to get that those first 30, 40 minutes. And, it's not like it was because of his tactics that Tuluma scores an own goal or Swiderski gives up a penalty or Malanda makes that pass. Like,
no,
again,
those
are just kind of like
mistake.
Yeah, individual errors that, like, I mean, he has no control over that. He's not controlling the team with an Xbox controller and hit the wrong button.
Right.
He can literally only just stand there and watch. But yeah, if those three things don't happen, like, I think Charlotte would have closed the game out in a spectacular fashion. I think we could have put 2 or 3 more in on our way. But I think we just, again, like we've been saying, we just beat ourselves, and I think that has nothing to do with Lattanzio or how he set the team up or how he told them to play that weekend. So I think for people to blame this loss on him, I think seems a bit foolish.
Yeah, I'm sure the people that probably put those posts up are just probably getting over it now, and they're like, nah, he's all right. Because, I mean, remember how, like, good the team did after Lattanzio took over last season? Like, everybody
and that was
just, up.
And he had a rough spot too. Like, I don't know if you remember, but, like, in August, I don't think we won a single game. And people were like, "Oh, well, he blew it. We're gonna miss playoffs because of this." Like, hopefully they bring in a new coach. And then, like, we go, I think, on the road to New York, beat Philly at home, beat Chicago on the road.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we go on another nice little tear, and people are like, "Yeah, like, this is the guy." Like, so
Yeah.
A lot of it does have to do with the fan base being so roller coaster emotions and whatnot. But
yeah, he's probably like me.
You got to give him time.
He doesn't pay attention to the internet stuff.
No, yeah, definitely not.
But
I agree with you. Like, I think he deserves at least this whole season, like, no matter what.
Yeah, he deserves at least 2 more seasons from Charlotte.
Yeah, because, like, he just took, like, he's really only had one transfer window to try to bring in the type of players that he wants for his system. Like, who says he even has all the right pieces, right?
Right.
So who knows who we'll bring in the summertime, and then again in the off season during the wintertime. So yeah, I think give him another year. The team's still young. Like, I think, I would love to see us make playoffs. I think we will. I think we'll finish. I still think we'll finish in the top 6. I definitely see us there. But even if we don't, like, I think give him another season and just see who he can bring in and how he can change the team.
Yeah. Yep. I agree.
Well, that's pretty much everything I had on that. Did want to do a slight preview on the upcoming game this weekend. We got an early Saturday game. I guess the players have somewhere to be Saturday night with our, like you mentioned, 85 rivals with Atlanta United, who are coming off a pretty strong start. They had a crazy week 1, beating who did they beat? I am blanking now. But anyways, they had a comeback win over whoever it was, and they seem to be doing well. How are you viewing this match this weekend? How are you feeling about it?
I'm feeling pretty good about it. I think Atlanta's gonna come to Charlotte expecting a defeated team, low in morale. But I mean, I honestly, I think we can use those two losses to really just to build on, uh,
Yeah.
and hopefully take it to our advantage where, we come out strong. I want to say we're gonna beat Atlanta like 2-0, 2-1 at the most. Atlanta might get one on us, but they got what, 2 goals for them? Oh no, three. They got
Yeah, I've
three
gotten 3 so far.
3 goals for them and 2 goals against them. So
Yeah. So they beat San Jose at the last few minutes of their opening game,
yeah,
2-1, and then tied Toronto this past weekend 1-1. So interesting performances. No Josef Martinez anymore for Atlanta United. Interesting to see how they adapt to that. But no, I kind of like your scoreline prediction of like a 2-1 game or a 1-0 game. I think the team will definitely step up for this like they did last year. Because you compare the team when we or played Atlanta at home last year, like they were definitely not coming from a good spot. I don't think they were like favorites to win or anything, and we surprised a lot of people by beating them.
yeah. I'm
So
hoping
I think
that
they can do it again.
because we know Atlanta, they're a physical team, and this is going to be another physical game for Charlotte. So hopefully we get more calls going our way, and hopefully players don't get too much in their head if they don't. But I mean, it's a home game, so they got the home crowd there to support them.
Yeah,
I think this is where we end the losing streak of only two
yeah.
games.
The 2-game losing streak.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
No, I agree. I think this is perfect setup for us to come back and start winning some games.
yeah. And as far as like a starting lineup, I'm good with the exact same guys that started this past Saturday. I honestly am. I think they can get the job done. I think they just had some bad calls and unfortunate events. Um, but I don't think that's they're professionals. They're already forgot about it. Moving on to the next one. I think it'll be fine.
Yeah, I think the only thing I would push back on that is I want to see Santos start. I just want to see like what impact he has on the game from the get go,
Mm-hmm.
and just see how he does at that position and see if he can be like that number 10 kind of guy that we're looking for, that we need. And when they brought him in, that's kind of what at least from my understanding, that was like the whole purpose. So I'd like to kind of see that come to fruition now.
So you want him going into what, the center attacking mid?
Yeah,
Okay.
where Shinshinsky played this past weekend,
Mm-hmm.
just have him take over that spot. I'm fine with giving Serdersky another chance at right wing. And if him and Yazwiak, like, if one of them's having a bad game, I think at halftime just take the one who's having a bad game off and put Vargas on.
Yeah. Because I think Santos would probably he would be a better support player for Capetti as far as scooping up loose balls or getting open or just distributing the ball. Where I think like Shinshinsky in that position, I still think he's just a little too selfish. And
Yeah.
he throws his fits, and it ends up costing us time and opportunities more than anything. That's the only really gripe that I have against Shinshinsky is just, if when he dives and the call doesn't go his way, then he's going to be on the ground for a while.
Same as Serdersky.
Yeah. Well. Oh no, I'm sorry. I was talking about Soderski the whole time, not Shinshinsky.
Oh, okay.
I like
I was
Shinshinsky.
saying,
I think he scored a lot of good goals for us last season when Soderski was out. And I honestly thought that once Soderski got back, I thought those two were just gonna like start banging goals left and right, and that didn't happen. But no, yeah, I totally like Shinshinsky. I think he plays hard. He had a very physical game last Saturday, and I think he just got beat up a good bit. It's Swiderski, the one that worries me on the center attacking mid.
yeah. No, I agree. I think I'd rather just see Santos there. and let's just see what we have. Like instead of him being a bench player, let's just see if he can be a starter or what impact he can have. And if it doesn't work out, like again, like just keep tinkering. Like put Swiderski back there, see if him and Kopetti have better rhythm. Whatever. It's gonna take a little bit of time to figure it out, but.
And I think if Jozwiak is performing how he has been, which has been pretty consistent, not too bad. I think you leave Jozwiak out there, and if Santos is not working out, then take Santos out, put Swiderski in the middle, and put Vargas back on that right wing and see how Vargas does. Because that's another play that has been performing consistently well with the minutes that he has.
Yeah, what I like about Vargas and Santos both too, were like they're willing to take risks. I don't know if that's because they're coming off the bench, so it's like little to lose, more to gain.
Right.
But like they're taking shots from far away. They're like trying like more lethal passes.
Yeah, like
Vargas had a crazy shot from far away.
Yeah, like you could see Gaines was very upset because like he was kind of open, but I feel like Gaines would most likely froze up. But who knows?
Yeah, it's like I'd rather someone shoot it.
Yeah, if anybody's going to shoot it, it's going to be Vargas from half field.
Yeah.
Not Gaines.
Yep.
I still remember Gaines when he missed that open one, that wide open goal in the Open Cup. Like all he had was the keeper in front of him, and he just blew it.
Well, and then he had that one against Seattle too, where all he had to do was like pass it across the back line.
Yep. Yeah.
So he's had his moments.
Yeah. I'm team Vargas.
Yeah, I'm definitely team Vargas as well.
And they're doing hat giveaways. This are you so we're both going to the game. Are you marching or are you going?
I think so. I think we're gonna go to the tailgate, like the supporter tailgate.
Yeah.
And try to snag a couple of free drinks there. And then I don't know if we'll march in or what. Maybe we will, especially because it's against Atlanta. We didn't do it for the home opening game.
Wow.
Yeah, I've never done the march. I know you have. You've said it's pretty fun, right?
The march is fun.
Yeah. Maybe we'll do it this week.
Sounds like you're not going to. I know what that maybe is.
We'll see.
I know what that maybe is.
Any other closing remarks on the game?
No, I think that about covers it. Let me see. We did have a couple of comments on our Instagram from the post that we had, and kind of brings it into what we talked about last week a little bit about MLS not having alternate jerseys. Now this one guy, Bayern Ryan 1, he's on Instagram. He says that MLS does have them, but it's just a weird. Let me see what it says. It's just a weird league-wide alternative jersey. So, let me see. And I meant to look this up before I even brought this up, but I'm just gonna go straight to my source here, Google. So, does MLS have alternate kits? And they do not. They just have away and homes. No alternates. Yeah. But they do have, those like
they do that like collaboration.
Yeah, the collaboration
like the
ones.
special edition.
Yeah, right. Which is all just, a money grab. I mean, everybody can see it, but it's a good excuse to buy a new jersey. So,
No, my biggest gripe though is
I'm sure somewhere.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah. Now, my biggest gripe though is like whenever we wear the away jersey at home, I hate that.
Well, this one, I'm not gonna like, and I believe they're gonna wear it like when New York comes.
Okay. Yeah, I just didn't like that last season. Like there was a couple of home games where we wore our black jerseys, and it's like, why? Like we're at home, like just wear the home jersey.
Oh, the black one was way better. That's why.
Yeah, but wear it on away games. Like there was a couple of away games where we wore the home jersey, and it's like just wear the away jersey.
Maybe they're colorblind. That's what I do.
Maybe they packed the wrong bags. Like, oh crap. Did you ever do that when you played?
No, I had both jerseys on.
Oh my man, I used to forget jerseys all the time. Like, oh dang, I forgot my away jersey.
I played with
We
both
play
of
away
them
today.
on, just in
Gross.
case.
So you have to wash them all the
I
time.
never washed them. That's bad luck.
Oh, gross.
But
All right, well that's
yeah.
gonna
This is
that's
a
gonna do it
a
from
weird
us.
away jersey too, because you can't you can't wear that away jersey against St. Louis. It's the same colors.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of the away jersey.
Nope.
Well, that's going to do it from us this week. We will catch you guys next week after hopefully a win against Atlanta at home. As Pablo mentioned, we're on Instagram. We're on Twitter at offsides_CLTFC. These episodes also go up on YouTube. You can subscribe and like there if you want. Leave a comment on how you think the team will do, and we'll read it out on the next episode, see if you were right or wrong. And yeah, get involved on the social medias if you like the episode. Don't forget to leave a review wherever you're listening it from, and share it with a friend as well if you think they'll enjoy it. Did want to give a shout out to the Spotify listeners. I was looking at our stats earlier today, and our Spotify listeners have grown quite a bit, almost the same size as our Apple Podcast listeners. So good to see the growth there. And if you're enjoying it on Spotify, don't forget to leave 5 stars on there as well. But we will catch you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.
Wow, wow, wow. You got to love that.